It can be extremely overwhelming deciding which wide receivers to draft in the early rounds of fantasy football. And there's a lot of landmines out there that you're going to want to avoid. So in today's video, we've identified the 5 best receivers to draft between rounds 1 and 4, excluding the obvious names like Ja'Marr Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, even Malik Nabers, Nico Collins, Brian Thomas Jr. Those are all stars. None of those guys are going to be on this list. We've also done the running back version of this video. If you want to check it out, it's going to be in the description. Let's start with my guy, Davante Adams, who is in such an exciting landing spot. Probably the best offense that he's been in since his days in Green Bay. Heads over to LA, teams up with Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford. This is just a match made in heaven. Like, I am just so excited to draft Adams anywhere that I can. And he's still a really good receiver. He got it done last year on a horrible Jets offense that was just an embarrassment, like always at this point. From week 9 on last year, he was the wide receiver 5, averaging 20 fantasy points per game, 11 plus targets per game. Only Ja'Marr Chase and Brian Thomas Jr. scored more fantasy points over those final 6 weeks. And we know this LA offense can support multiple fantasy relevant receivers. If you go back to the Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods days, Brandon Cooks, there's plenty of guys that ate in this offense in terms of wide receivers. And since Stafford and Sean McVay teamed up back in 2021, Rams receivers as a whole have ranked 2nd in both receptions and receiving yards. This is a very wide receiver friendly offensive scheme. And Adams has been a top 10 fantasy receiver in 6 out of his last 7 seasons. The only season he didn't do that was when he was playing with Aiden O'Connell and Jimmy Garoppolo out in Vegas. And now he gets the 2nd best quarterback, arguably, not even arguably. Stafford is definitely the 2nd best quarterback of his career behind Aaron Rodgers. Yes, Adams is older. He's going to be 33 years old in December. And if you know me, I'm not the type of guy who tends to draft older players in fantasy. I'd rather get out a year too early than be stuck with them a year too late. And, you know, you get caught in that decline that no one wants to be a part of. It's horrible. But Adams, he's still a good receiver. He ranked 14th in open score last year. He's a strong route runner, knows how to get open. He's got a nose for the end zone. Guys like him, future Hall of Famers, tend to be able to preserve their careers a little bit longer. Look at Derrick Henry. Even though I'm fading Henry again this year and he'll probably go crazy, but Adams is a guy that even if he's a little bit older, like I said, he can get open with ease still. He's going to score a lot of touchdowns in this offense. There's not a world where Adams doesn't have 10 plus touchdowns this year. Like, Davante in the red zone on this offense in this system is going to be insane. And Puka Nacua, yes, he's still the wide receiver 1 on this roster, but he struggled to score in his first 2 years. He had 6 touchdowns his rookie year, 3 last year. Granted, he didn't play a full season, and touchdowns are not a sticky stat. Puka could have double-digit touchdowns as well this year. Adams has proven to us that he knows how to score. He's had 6 seasons with double-digit touchdowns. He is going to go crazy this year. He could definitely be a top 12 wide receiver in fantasy because of that touchdown upside. And he's a guy that you can get in round 3. It's an absolute steal. I don't think we're going to see a drastic drop off with Davante. He's in such a good system with a really good quarterback, elite play caller in McVay. Like, there's just not a world where he doesn't have a strong year. Can he be top 5 at the position? Unlikely, but he can very well be a wide receiver 1. If you can get a guy like that in round 3, that's a no-brainer. Now, if he was a round 1 pick or a round 2 pick even, I would be out. But the fact that you can get him in round 3 is such a steal. If you guys are enjoying these type of videos, I'm really trying to grow this channel. If you can please like the video, it helps this video get seen to more people who love fantasy football just like we do. Please subscribe. Watch as much of this video as you possibly can. All those things help me out. I'm not the type of guy that like begs for likes and people to subscribe, but I want this channel to grow. I want this community to grow with you guys, and I would appreciate your help. If you would like to do that, that would be awesome. On to another guy, Rashee Rice, who he broke my heart last year, and he was on his way to breaking fantasy football. Wide receiver 2 through the first 3 weeks, 21.6 fantasy points per game, 26% target share. Travis Kelce, who? Mahomes didn't even look for Kelce when Rice was healthy last year. It was like nothing I've ever seen. Rice out-targeted Kelce 29-12 through the first 3 weeks last year. And then we know he suffered that knee injury in week 4 thanks to Patrick Mahomes. I had so much Rice last year in so many of my leagues that I was crying for nearly like a month after that happened. But Rice is going to pick back up where he left off. He is the dude in this passing game. Travis Kelce is dust at this point. He's going to be 36 years old a month into the season. Like, why do we think that even if it's a small sample size last year, it was working? That's going to continue this year. Travis Kelce only played decent the rest of the year because Mahomes had no one to throw the football to. I mean, Travis Kelce's stat line through the first 3 weeks that Rice was healthy: 12 targets, 8 receptions, 69 yards, 0 touchdowns, 15 total fantasy points. 15 total fantasy points, not in 1 week. That's over 3 weeks. We got to talk about the other players because a lot of people might fade Rice because they're worried about Kelce. Another guy not to be worried about is Xavier Worthy, who, yes, he finished year 1 on a strong note. I'll give him that. But here's the issue. Worthy was playing in that Rice role, right? He was playing in that short field dink and dunk. He had a 9.2 ADOT. Worthy, the speedster, the guy who's supposed to be a deep threat. 9.2 ADOT. That was 72nd among receivers. I don't think he's a very good receiver. Like, he's the type of guy that is very gadgety. He needs to have these design plays in order to produce. Because you saw him the first part of the season, he was not producing until he had no target competition because there was no Hollywood Brown, no Rashee Rice. He was playing alongside an old Kelce and DeAndre Hopkins. He was all they had. So, of course, he was going to play decent to close out the year. He's just a bad route runner because of his small frame, 20th percentile against man, 16th percentile against press, 0-100-yard receiving games, 65 PFF grade. Worthy is not a good receiver. If you're debating between Worthy or Rice, pay up for Rice. I don't care about the value on Xavier Worthy. He's not going to be a thing this year, especially now with a healthy Hollywood Brown. And speaking of health, Rice looks like he's going to be probably close to 100% by the time week 1 rolls around. And he also won't have to deal with that pending court case. It's been moved to January of 2026, so he will not be suspended this year. So you can throw that out. There's no reason that he can't be. Rice could be a top 3 fantasy receiver this year if he stays healthy. No doubt about it. He's one of my favorite guys to draft. And if you are one of those people who are like, it's a 3-game sample size, it's not enough data. All right, let's zoom out. Rice is 11 games since seeing a full-time role, including the playoffs. He's averaged 17.9 fantasy points per game. That would equate to around a top 10, top 12 finish over the course of a full year. I think Rice is absolutely worth his round 2 price tag. All right, on to our next guy, George Pickens. This is the year. This is the year he's finally going to explode, I'm telling you. Now in Dallas with major upgrades across the board. Every position, everything on offense is an upgrade, from quarterback to offensive coordinator to the overall nature of the offense is huge. Dallas loves to throw the football. Arthur Smith and the Steelers hate to throw the football. Steelers ranked 29th last year in pass attempts. Cowboys ranked 3rd. Even with Cooper Rush for 12 games, they continued to throw the football. And since 2022, the Cowboys are top 10 in total points, plays, pace, no huddle rate, neutral pass rate, and passing yards. We know Brian Schottenheimer is now the head coach, previously the offensive coordinator. He's going to continue to call the plays, and they are going to continue to throw the rock. I also really like Dak Prescott. I think he's being faded way too hard in drafts. He's a quarterback you should be targeting. I think he has a huge year. And Dak Prescott is another guy who has proven he can support multiple fantasy relevant receivers. You saw it with Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup, and then it was CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. Dak is just a really good quarterback. Remember, he was the quarterback 4 in fantasy points per game in 2023. I think Prescott has 40+ touchdown upside this year. And back to George Pickens, like, this has never been a bad receiver. He's just been in a bad situation, in my opinion. Like, yeah, he had some growing to do. We know he's a contested catch, spectacular catch machine. And last year, he grew as a route runner, according to Reception Perception, 72.8% success rate versus man coverage, 76.6% success rate versus press, which was 83rd percentile. Both of those numbers were career best marks. Pickens, I bet my house, I bet my kids that George Pickens scores double-digit touchdowns this year, along with setting career highs across the board. Receptions, yards. This is going to be an incredible year for George. It's a new situation. It's a fresh start. He's on an offense with a quarterback upgrade in Dak that loves to throw the football. Like, this is such a no-brainer pick for me. He's such an easy guy to click on at his ADP, which is end of round 4, early round 5. George is going to be one of the biggest breakouts of the year. We're all going to look back and be like, wow, Pickens, like 70 plus receptions, double-digit touchdowns, 1,100 yards. Like, he is going off. There's no reason to think he can't. It's a match made in heaven. I am so excited to watch George eat this year. Another receiver that you need to draft that I absolutely love, Ladd McConkey, who was one of the best rookies last year, right up there with Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. He honestly should have been a round 1 pick. Like, what was going on with these NFL teams, right? LA got themselves a steal at the beginning of round 2, and they got their future wide receiver 1 for the foreseeable future. What's crazy about Ladd is coming into the league, I think a lot of people looked at his frame, which isn't, he's 6 feet tall, but he doesn't weigh a lot. And they thought he was this slot-only gadgety type receiver. And boy, did he prove people wrong. If you watched the Chargers games last year, like, just go back and just watch McConkey's highlights. Like, he can get open on every single route. If Herbert threw Ladd the ball on every single play, he'd have 1,000 receptions on the year. Like, he can burn almost every coverage, and the metrics prove that. 84.4% success rate against press coverage, which was the 6th best mark in reception perception history. If you don't know what reception perception is, Matt Harmon does a great job breaking down receivers by their routes, by their success on their different routes. It's really insightful. And he was up there, McConkey, he was up there with guys by the name of Tyreek Hill. Have you heard of him? A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson. McConkey could be one of the best receivers in all of football this year, let alone fantasy. Another guy who is wide receiver 1 overall upside. That is not crazy at all to think. 2.85 yards per route run when lining up wide. So much for being a slot-only guy, right? You can throw him in the slot. You can throw him out wide. It does not matter. Ladd catches everything. He has Justin Herbert's full trust. He's got sneaky speed, elusiveness, an insane route runner. He's a complete package. I think this Chargers offense is going to be terrifying this year. The play action game, Justin Herbert, one of the best play action quarterbacks in all of football, is going to feed families because Omarion Hampton is in the backfield now. Stud running back from North Carolina, rookie, 1st round pick. We love him on this channel. I want Ladd on every fantasy team possible. I know I've said that about pretty much every guy I've already talked about, but that's why they're on this list. I love these guys. From weeks 8 to 17 last year, Ladd was the wide receiver 10, averaging 18 fantasy points per game, 25% target share, 88 receiving yards per game. And that doesn't even include the playoff game against Houston, where he set an NFL rookie record for the most receiving yards in a playoff game. 197 receiving yards. Dropped it on the Texans' face. Yeah, they lost, but it was still pretty cool. Along with 9 receptions and a score, this dude is the real deal. And you need to draft him at cost. Reach for him if you want. I have no problem with that. And last guy on this list, who a lot of people probably don't like, but you got to like him this year. Don't fade this man. Do not fade this man. Garrett Wilson, ladies and gentlemen. Garrett Wilson. He wasn't horrible from a statistical standpoint. He had career highs across the board in receptions, yards, and touchdowns, but I get it. He still felt like a letdown for fantasy, especially for the people who spent a early round 2 pick to get him. But it wasn't his fault. He was trending. He was going to finally have that season we've all been waiting for. And then Davante Adams got traded to the Jets, and it all went downhill from there because Davante Adams, Aaron Rodgers, best friends. And so that tanked Wilson. Through the first 6 weeks, Garrett was the wide receiver 13, averaging 16 fantasy points per game. He was likely going to be a wide receiver 1 on the year. From weeks 7 on playing alongside Adams. Wide receiver 23, averaging 14.5 fantasy points per game. We know Davante Adams, who we just talked about, who we love, is now with the Rams. So there's no problem anymore for Wilson. There's no target competition on this roster. And now Justin Fields under center. Yes, Wilson, Fields, college teammates. Are we going to get a Burrow Chase type vibes here? They already have that chemistry. It's already there. They're best friends, probably. They have the timing down. I don't get the hate that Justin Fields gets. I mean, I get it. I do. He's burned a lot of people. He hasn't been that good. He hasn't been that good of an NFL quarterback. But look at what he did with DJ Moore, who came over from Carolina to Chicago. He had over 1,300 receiving yards, 8 touchdowns, and that was with Fields missing 4 games. If he would have played a full season, DJ Moore would have had double-digit touchdowns, maybe 1,500 yards, right? And now Garrett Wilson is such a much better, sure, we'll roll with it, talent than DJ Moore. Wilson is an incredible talent. I don't know. How do people not see this? And there's no target competition, which we talked about. Mason Taylor, rookie tight end. The only target competition really is Breece Hall in the passing game. That is about it. I think Wilson could legitimately see 200 targets this year. He's just another guy you have to draft because the situation has changed. It was garbage last year, and now it's much better this year. Remember, new offensive coordinator, new head coach, both guys coming over from Detroit, Aaron Glenn, Tanner Engstrand, who was the pass game coordinator for the Lions, who probably worked very closely with Amon-Ra St. Brown. What do I think is going to happen? They're going to move Garrett into the slot. Maybe not in a full-time role, but Wilson is going to be filthy in the slot, and he's really good at it. He's averaged 2 yards per route run from the slot. Remember when the Cowboys started letting Lamb play from the slot more, and look at what happened? He went crazy. That's what's going to happen with Wilson this year. He's going to be in the slant. He's going to be in the slot, slant pass, touchdown, right? He's so special with the ball in his hands. He's really great after the catch. He's going to drown in targets. He's going to score a lot of touchdowns. This overall nature of this offense is going to be better. They drafted another first-round top 12 offensive lineman for the second year in a row. This offense line, I believe, has 3 first-rounders. They're going to gel, right? And when this offensive line gels, and when Justin Fields has time to throw the football, he is not a bad quarterback. If he has time to throw the football, he's going to get it to my guy, Garrett Wilson, and they're both going to have really good NFL years and fantasy seasons. This is going to be the breakout we've all been waiting for. And now the cost is not that bad. You can get him in round 3, right? So please just reset your brain from what happened last year and draft Garrett Wilson everywhere you can. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the new format. I'm trying to be a little more natural, talking with you guys, not so robotic, trying to just be myself. So if it's a little weird, you can unsubscribe if you want, but I think it makes it more fun. I'm having more fun. I hope you are as well. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you like what we're doing here. I'll see. Oh, peace. No, we're not going to do that. I'll see you in the next one.